For today's tutorial, I'm going to be walking you through how to draw Our Lady of Guadalupe. I wore my favorite sweatshirt just for the occasion. We celebrate her feast day on December 12th, and I'm going to show you how to draw her using simple lines and simple shapes. For this project, all you need is a piece of paper, a pencil, and something to color with. So my example has lots of details in it because the original tilma has a lot of details too. I try to break it down as simple as possible, but just know that you can pause the video at any time or you can rewind if you need to watch a step again. I try to make it as easy as possible and know that your drawing doesn't have to look exactly like mine. You can make any changes that you want to on yours. Sometimes when we do drawings like this that have lots of steps, it helps strengthen our art muscles. And just know that the point is to have fun and to spend this time connecting to God through our creativity. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start off with an oval shape for Our Lady's head. So kind of close to the top of my paper, I'm going to draw my oval shape, and I'm going to tilt it just a little bit because her head is angled down just as little, kind of like this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a curved line, kind of like a smile, underneath her chin, and this is going to create a little space where her neck is going to go. So what we're going to do next is we're going to be doing some curved lines to create her shoulders as well as the edges of her body. This is this giant mantle that's kind of wrapped around her. So starting where my neck touches my head, I'm going to do a big curved line that comes down, and you want it to come all the way down for however long you want her body to be. So I think I'm going to stop about here, and I'm going to do the same thing on this right side. So I'm starting where her head meets her neck, and I'm doing a big curved line that comes down, and I'm going to stop it wherever I want the bottom of her dress to be. So down at the bottom, I'm going to connect these two curves with a line, and that's going to create this part of her dress. I'm going to do one line coming down and towards the right over here, and a line that comes down just a little bit on this left side. And I want to connect these marks together with a wavy line, and that's going to create the fabric of her dress. So I'm going to come up and down and up and down and kind of connect those pieces together. We can see a little bit of her foot sticking out, so near one of the folds of fabric, I'm just going to add a little curve, think kind of like a smile line, and that's going to create one of her little feet that I can see peeking out. So we're going to be working on her mantle next. So we're going to be doing this long line that's going to create this inside part of her mantle. So near the top of her head, I'm going to do a line that comes down and straight. And I'm going to bring that line all the way down to that top fold of her dress. I want to do the same thing over on this right side, but that part of the mantle, it comes across her face just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a little curve kind of near the top of her head like this, and then I'm going to come down all the way to the bottom. We're going to do one more curved line for this part of her mantle over here on this right edge. So this time at the top of your oval, you're going to kind of trace around the head and come down, but stop. And then we're going to draw a diagonal line that comes down and connects like this. And I'm going to erase the lines for the head and the shoulder that I no longer need. We're going to put a triangle shape right here for this open part of her mantle. So kind of close to where her neck is, I'm going to draw a diagonal line that comes down, and then another diagonal line that comes down towards that edge. And if we want to create like this little border around to create like the trim of her mantle, you can add another line here, kind of following parallel to your previous lines, and that creates this little gold border. We're going to add another line here for this top part of her hand. So I'm going to add a line that comes down and towards the right like this. We're going to make this zigzag here for this open part of the fabric. So here at the top, I'm going to draw a line that comes down and towards the right and stop. I'm going to zigzag in towards the left just a little and stop. Then I'm going to zigzag out a little bit and stop. And then I'm going to zigzag back one more time and stop whenever I hit the dress. And it's okay if yours looks a little different than mine. I want to add a little bit of this gold border again. So kind of following the same lines, I'm just adding a parallel line right next to it. And that creates this gold border for her mantle. And I have this little part right here that came past the edge, so I'm going to erase that because I no longer need it. So we're going to be adding some more of that gold trim over here and doing another zigzag. So over here at the top, I'm going to start to match that first line. And we're going to create this first swoop. So it's not quite a diagonal line. It has a little bit more of a curve. So I'm going to swoop over towards the left, kind of like this. Almost kind of reminds me of like a letter J. And I'm going to zigzag over towards the right. And then I'm going to zigzag towards the left and stop when I hit the edge. I can add that border by kind of following my lines like this. And when I leave that little space, it looks like the gold trim of her mantle. I'm going to erase any lines that I no longer need, like these ones around her head. We're going to add one more little part of her mantle. It's this part right here. So kind of close towards that bottom part of the dress, I'm going to do a diagonal line going off towards the left like this. A line that comes down like that. And then I'm going to do a line that comes up and stops at the dress. And if you want to, you can add that gold trim. You just add another line, kind of like a V, for that trim. We're going to work on the collar of her dress. So near the top, I'm going to draw a curve underneath her neck, think kind of like a smile. And we have this little kind of rectangle piece underneath. So I'm going to draw one line here, one line next to it going the same direction and the same size, and I'm going to connect them together at the bottom. We're going to put in her little folded hands, and the shape kind of reminds me of a teardrop, a little bit narrow at the top and curved at the bottom. So close to that little rectangle part of her dress, I'm going to do a curve shape, kind of like a raindrop or an almond, and that creates one of her hands. And I'm going to do another kind of curve. So here at the top, I'm going to do a line that comes down and curves connecting to that other hand. It kind of reminds me of an upside down heart. We can add some little lines to create the fingers. So I'm going to add one line here on this left part, and I'm going to add a couple lines, maybe 2 lines over on this right part. And we're not going to be able to see all of her fingers because of the way her hands are turned. You don't see all the fingers, so that's why we only have a few. We're going to work on her little sleeves. So we're going to draw a U shape for this first part of her sleeve. And then I'm going to add another curved line, kind of like a U. And if you hit her mantle, you're going to stop and continue that line on the other side. I'm going to add one more line here to create this dark pink part of her sleeve. We're going to do the same on this left side. So you're going to do a curve, think kind of like a smile for this first light pink part of her sleeve. We're going to add another curve right next to it to finish up that light pink part. And if you have space, you can add a line at the top and a line at the bottom to create that dark pink part of her sleeve. We see a little bit of her mantle sticking out here. So underneath this arm, you're going to draw a line that comes down, and then you're going to curve it up like the letter U. At the bottom of that U, you're going to do a straight line and stop at the mantle. If you want to add some of that gold border, you can add a little line here and a straight up and down line here. To do her bow, we're going to do a diagonal line underneath her arm on that left side and another diagonal line kind of near where her hands are touching. And I'm going to draw a line connecting them at the bottom. I'm going to do another line, but going more towards the right. And if you can fit it, you can add another line. I ran out of space, but I'm going to do a little line here for that bottom part of the ribbon. We can add extra folds to her dress, and you just do that by adding long lines. Some of them you can have come all the way down to the bottom, or you can have it stop like this before it reaches the bottom. And you can do as many or as few lines as you wish. We're going to be working on her face next. So we're going to do her hair and her face. So she has her hair parted. So over here at the top, I'm going to do a line that comes over towards the right and stops at the mantle. And I want this top part to be pointy. So when I go towards the left, I want to try to keep it pointy at the top and swoop that hair over towards the left. I did a simple face. So near the middle of your oval, you're going to put 2 curves. Think kind of like a smile line. And these lines are going to be for her closed eyes. Above each eye, we're going to put another curve, but think like a frown line, and these are going to be for her eyebrows. Starting at this eyebrow on this left side of the face, I'm going to do a curved line that comes over and in for her nose. I'm going to do a small curve for her nostril and one more small curve for the edge of her nose. I'm going to give her a simple smiling mouth. And I added one more small curve underneath for the hint of her lip. We're going to do this moon that she's standing on next. So over here, kind of near where the top fold of her dress is, that's where we're going to start this crescent moon shape. So I'm going to do a slight curved line that comes up and towards the left. And I want to do one over here that curves up and towards the right. We want it to be pointy at the top and a little bit wider as we go down. So I'm going to keep it skinny at the top, and I'm going to curve my line down stop whenever I hit clothing or a shoe. And I want to continue that curved line on the other side as I work my way around to the side. We're going to do this little angel next. So underneath her body in the middle, we're going to draw a little circle for this little angel's head. So the little angel is holding up her dress with his little hands, and we can see the thumb kind of touching the fabric, and the back of the hand is kind of behind. So I'm going to do a curve for the thumb on each side, and I'm going to do a curve kind of like a smile behind the fabric. And you can erase the little bit of fabric that's by the thumb. I'm going to add a little curve kind of like the letter C for that ear that we can see. And we're going to draw a line that comes from the hand and stops at the head on both that left side and that right side. Near the hand on this left side, I'm going to do another curve, but I'm going to stop before I hit the head. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to leave a gap. I'm going to do a curved line and stop when I get close to the head. And I'm going to draw a line that comes down on the left and a line that comes down on the right for the sides of the body. This little angel, I'm just going to do a simple smiling face. So I'm going to do 2 little dots for the eyes and a smiling mouth. And I'm going to do a wavy line at the top of the head for a hint of the hair. We're going to do the wings next. So by the hand above the arm, I'm going to do a line that curves up and down towards the head. I'm going to do another curved line, so near the hand, I'm going to come up and then come down towards the head. So that's the top part of the wings. For the sides, I'm going to do a diagonal line that comes down towards the left and the line that comes down and towards the right by that other hand. And we're going to add some curved lines, kind of like the letter U, and that's going to create these feathers for the wings. So over here on the left, that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to curve my pencil up and in, kind of like a long skinny U. And I'm going to draw another U, long and skinny, right next to it. And as I get closer to the body, each of my little U's is smaller and smaller until I run out of space. So I'm going to start over here with this biggest feather. So I'm going to do a long skinny U for that biggest feather. Another long and skinny U. Then I'm going to do some smaller U's until I run out of room. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do kind of like this big gold part. So we're going to use your pencil to draw a long, almost like an egg shape. We're not going to worry about these swoops yet. We're just going to put in a guideline to help us kind of mark out that main shape. So I'm going to start near the top of her head, and pressing lightly with my pencil, I'm going to do a curve that comes down past that moon and kind of stops near where the angel is. And I'm trying to draw that kind of lightly so it'll be easy to erase later. I'm going to do the same thing on this right side. So it's going to be more curved at the top, like the skinny part of an egg, and it's going to be a bigger curve down at the base, kind of like the bottom part of an egg, like that. So once I get that main egg shape in, we're going to put in these swoops. And these swoops kind of remind me of like the curve of a smile. So you can start anywhere that you want on your drawing, but you're going to draw curves, think kind of like a smile or like a parenthesis. And you can make these as big or as small as you want them to be. So the bigger they are, the less you're going to have to draw, and the smaller they are, the more you're going to have to draw. But it kind of creates like this nice border around Our Lady. And whenever you finish getting all those curves put in, you can erase that original kind of egg guideline shape, and that finishes off our drawing. So that was a lot of work, and you should pat yourself on the back because you drew all of that all by yourself, and that was a lot of details to do. So whenever you finish getting all of the details that you want in your Our Lady of Guadalupe artwork, you can go ahead and color her. And I'm going to be using markers because that's what shows up well on camera, but you can use your favorite art supplies at home. And when I use markers, I love to use pens like this to outline my pencil lines before I color it. So Our Lady of Guadalupe, on her mantle, she has these stars, and I use some gold paint on mine to get the stars, but you can color them with your markers or crayons at home. If you have like a gold gel pen or Sharpie, that would look kind of cool too. So I'll give you some time to color. Thank you so much for drawing along. I would love to see how your drawings turned out. Feel free to tag me on social media. And if you enjoyed following along with today's tutorial, know that I post new Catholic-inspired art tutorials like this one on my channel every week. Another way that you can help support my channel is through my Buy Me a Coffee page and art supply wish list. I want to remind you that you are loved, God loves you very much, and He loves your artwork very much. Thank you so much for drawing along with me, and I'll see you in the next video.